Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. Every once in a while in the world of wrestling, there's one of those nights where like everybody starts talking about one particular event, or there's a confluence of events that happen and it gets everybody sort of talking about it. Oftentimes TNA is kind of the center point of this. I remember a couple of years ago, John Morrison defended his Impact World title in the main event of one of their pay-per-views against Austin Aries, or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe Austin Aries was defending. I forget who had it. In any event, John Morrison won. And Austin Aries ate the finish, ate the pin, and then immediately no-sold it, sprung up, flipped off Scott D'Amore and Don Callis, and then beat feet out of there and got everybody talking like, what the hell was this? Was this real? Was this fake? What was happening here? Turned out I think it was real, and then Austin Aries just never, I don't think he ever wrestled again. Maybe he did for the narrative, for control your narrative. I don't know, whatever it was. And people talk about it. People are like, TNA is being really weird these days. Well, TNA is at the center of the chatter of the social media wrestling sphere again tonight. I'm filming this on a Sunday in case you're watching this on a Monday. This happened for you last night because of their big Genesis event. A lot of positive, mind you, a lot of positive, but then there are some weird negative things happening as well. But we're going to talk about the positive first. Spoiler alert. I will be talking about stuff that happened at Genesis. So if you have plans to watch a pay-per-view, you don't want it spoiled for you, I'm not going to put it in the thumbnail, put something else in the thumbnail, which actually really made me laugh. But so I'm going to spoil stuff though pretty soon. So if you don't want that spoiled, go check out like the worst Royal Rumble video that me and Larson put together at Friend of Club Wrestling. It was a really cool video. Anyways, we don't really cover TNA all that much over at the Going in Raw channel. We're not going to have another video up until Tuesday for our Raw review. And I don't know how much we'll really dive into the TNA stuff because usually enough stuff happens on Raw. We just talk about that on that particular episode. So that's why I'm doing this, just because something happened in wrestling and I feel like talking about it. It's late on a Sunday night. What do I care? I'm having some guy come to fix my dishwasher tomorrow, so I don't have anything else going on besides playing basketball with Larson. Anyways, first and foremost, on the positive note, this is really cool. Spoiler alert. You still have time to click off. Joe Hendry is the new world champion over there at TNA. I thought this was really cool. Makes a lot of sense. Earlier in the week, there was like this big press release where WWE and TNA announced there's a formal partnership now between the two of them. I guess they put pen to paper. Maybe there's a certain set number of matches and talent trades that they're now going to do and partake in. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how a formalized agreement between the two companies goes down, given that so far things have gone pretty well between WWE and TNA. I mean, they're sort of treating TNA on par maybe with NXT. Seems like there's some people there in TNA that would be kind of interesting if they mix it up a little bit in WWE. And I'm sure that we'll have some amount of crossover in the Royal Rumble coming up in about 2 weeks. Namely, Joe Hendry. I mean, the dude was all over NXT in like mid 2024. Went over really, really well, really popular over there. He's like their dude there in TNA. I was kind of surprised they didn't have him win the title like earlier than this. But he's the champion now, and I have no doubt that you're going to see him in the Royal Rumble coming up in a couple weeks as TNA champion, which is pretty cool. You'd probably see Masha Slamovich in the Rumble as well as the TNA Knockouts champion. Cora Jade showed up at Genesis tonight to challenge her. I thought that was pretty cool. Masha will win that match. So it seems like, to a degree, they're going to be treated on par with the NXT people. We're not going to have like a Josh Alexander show up and just beat Obafemi or anything like that. It will probably happen the other way. We'll talk about Josh Alexander here in a second. But Joe Hendry as their guy is an incredibly smart move. I was never huge. Look, man, I was a fan of Dolph Ziggler back in like 2012 or whenever he was popular. But like bringing in former WWE guys, sticking your title on them, not really my favorite thing in the world. So it's nice to see a guy who's been in TNA for a little while now and a guy who's been all over the place finally get some rewards here and some recognition by becoming basically the face of TNA. So I think that's pretty cool. Should see him, I would assume, a little bit more, maybe mixing it up in NXT, maybe taking on some challengers from NXT over there in TNA, try to give that company a little bit of shine. So good for Joe Hendry. All right, while we're talking about the WWE NXT TNA thing, Fraxium showed up. They're like my favorite tag team right now, maybe in all of wrestling, because they're so much fun. I love the story they're telling with these guys over there in NXT, and they're going to be challenging the Rascals, which is really cool. The Rascals lost to the Hardy Boys tonight, so it's not going to be for their tag team championships, but I think the Rascals are going to get a shot at Fraxium's NXT titles, which is pretty cool. Obviously, Fraxium's going to win that, even if it's not for the titles. But that's really cool. They're a big deal there in NXT. And so to see them show up tonight on Genesis, that's a positive. That's a good thing. So we got two positive things in a row. This next one is not surprising. And I don't know if it's really necessarily a positive or a negative, but Josh Alexander quit TNA. He lost an I Quit match to Santana. And then he said, I'm also quitting TNA. According to Fightful Select, which is on my phone, they're saying that Josh Alexander has, I think, a little bit more of his contract left, like up through February or until February, something like that. And then he'll make a decision, I guess. At that point, he can actually start talking to companies about contract stuff, or maybe he can talk about it now. I don't know. In any event, it doesn't seem like he's going to be sticking around TNA. And this probably, maybe, was the last time we'll see him, unless he does one last thing. Who knows? In any event, Josh Alexander is one of them dudes I would love to see either in AEW. I think he's got a lot to offer AEW. I think he's got a lot to offer WWE as well. So wherever he ends up, I think would be a really good spot for him, as long as it's one of those two companies. I don't really watch New Japan, so that wouldn't really do much for me. All right, this next one is definitely a positive for TNA, although it might be a whole lot of nothing. And that's John Cena on his Instagram account tweeting out the WWE and TNA logos together in one image, hinting maybe that John Cena wouldn't be opposed to an appearance in TNA, which would be pretty huge. I kind of don't see it happening, because I think WWE is going to want to take advantage of every opportunity they have with John Cena in this last year to be in their company in WWE, either on Netflix, on USA, on Peacock, wherever. So I don't really think it's going to happen, but it's nice that John Cena is paying attention to what's going on in wrestling, and he tweeted this out. Fightful had tweeted out this clip of John Cena threatening Vince McMahon with leaving to go to TNA back in like 2009, 10, 11, something like that, which was kind of funny. But and that never happened, obviously. But it'd be cool to see John Cena in a one-off there in TNA. Just a little thing. It could even be a promo. I don't know. Maybe he'll fight Moose for the new X Division title, because Moose debuted a new X Division title. That happened as well. And I'll do a little quick review of it here. I like it. I thought that he was going to, it is a giant X. I thought he was going to do something different with it. Like he was going to, well, he did something different with it. He brought out a new title. But I thought he was going to like retire or something if he won this match, which I'm assuming he did. Yeah, he won. He beat Ace Austin, who's a really terrific wrestler. So yeah, Moose debuted a new X Division title. That's another positive. That's another good thing there for TNA. So that's good. All right, let's talk about some things that aren't so good, though. One of their champions showed up on a rival promotions broadcast and destroyed, or tried to, one of the TNA championships. During the latest GCW pay-per-view, The People vs. GCW, PCO showed up, because he's the current TNA digital media champion, and he took a sledgehammer to that championship. So evidently, according to what I read from Fightful Select, again, on my phone, they said that they were told that the people at GCW were told, no, this is totally legit. This is part of a story we're going to be doing. And then they figured out that it wasn't actually part of a story. And so you see their ring announcer guy, and then like one of the refs trying to get PCO off the mic after he put a sledgehammer to the TNA Digital Media Championship. And he started saying, I sold the biggest gate in TNA, and then I also sold a lot of t-shirts. And I'm like, what happened here? It feels like he's probably not going to be with the company very much longer. In fact, I think what I saw on my phone was that his contract was up like, I don't know, a month ago or something. And he's operating under no contract right now, but I don't think this handshake probably did not do anything. So he's operating on a handshake deal. That's a pretty lousy handshake right there. So yeah, PCO showed up at a GCW show and just trash the title. And then as they're trying to wrestle the microphone away from him, they cut to like just a show graphic. So they're like, get this guy out of here, yank him out. They get the old stick and yank him out of there. So yeah, not good for TNA, but I guess an opportunity opens up for somebody else to get that TNA title, that TNA digital media title away from PCO. Let's end here because we're going to end on the most negative thing to happen. And that was Tessa Blanchard's big return match there in TNA at Genesis. She beat Jordynne Grace, which I don't think that's a good idea in the first place, unless Tessa, like, very publicly kind of, like, just recently, Chelsea Green tweeted out that that Tessa is like a racist bully or something like that. And so during Tessa's one point started chanting, "She's a racist." That's not a good thing for a big attraction that you just brought in for your crowd to start chanting, "She's a racist." This has to be addressed, regardless of how you feel. If you feel that, oh, it's in the past and I'm sure she's changed and she's probably apologized to the appropriate people, and one of the people that she allegedly said racist things to took a picture with her and everything's cool, that's fine. I happen to think that she probably, just to prevent this from happening again, this is why apologies kind of need to be loud in public. Especially if it's something like this where multiple wrestlers came at you and said, this is not good. She's kind of a bad person. She's treating people shitty, which happened. Like, people came out and said those things. And then TNA's like, let's bring her on back. Right at the dawn of this new partnership between TNA and WWE, let's bring back a very controversial figure. They've got a shit ton of talent there in TNA. I don't know why this is necessary to do this. So I don't know. Maybe they'll take this big negative and they'll turn it into a big positive, and maybe she'll be able to rehabilitate her image. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see that she's changed, I guess. I don't know her. I don't know the person. All I know is what people have said and, has been, and things that have been corroborated. And then this happens, and then you get this crowd chanting this stuff. That's just sort of, I guess that's the consequences. That's what happens when you try to do something like this. So yeah, anyways, weird night there for TNA, but mostly positive. I think a lot of very positive things. They got to be pretty happy about this whole WWE arrangement. So good for them. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about all this stuff in the comments below. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of opinions about the whole Tessa situation. Do you think it's a good idea to bring her in? Do you think that what happened with the crowd here is going to be a thing that just keeps on happening? Let me know in the comments below. It's just me here, just Steve here. I'm going to be the one reading them. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see you guys around. Hopefully you had a good weekend.